They were being hunted, and they didn't even know how loud they were. March 17, 1943. North Atlantic Ocean, roughly 400 miles south of Iceland. Convoy HX-229 fights its way through towering waves, some rising over 50 feet high. 41 merchant ships move in formation, carrying nearly 140,000 tons of vital cargo to Britain. Food, fuel, ammunition. Supplies that a nation on the edge of survival desperately needs. Below deck, deep inside the steel belly of the SS William Eustace, 28-year-old ship's cook Thomas "Tommy" Lawson stands in the galley, bracing himself against the violent rolling of the ship as he scrubs dishes. Every few seconds the deck tilts sharply. Pots rattle. Water sloshes across the floor. Up on the bridge, Captain James Bannerman scans the dark horizon through binoculars. His face is tight, focused. He knows what's out there. The U-boats are hunting. And beneath the surface, hidden in the cold black water about 600 yards off the convoy's port side, one of them is already listening. Inside the German submarine U-758, Captain Lieutenant Helmut Manzek stands silently in the control room. Around him the air is tense, quiet, controlled. A young hydrophone operator presses his headphones tighter against his ears. Then, almost in a whisper, "Contact, bearing 280. He pauses, concentrating. Multiple propellers. Heavy machinery noise. Estimate, 40 ships. Manzek smiles. The wolf pack has found its prey. What no one knows, not Captain Bannerman, not Manzek, not even the admirals planning this war, is that a quiet observation made by a ship's cook is about to change everything. And over the next 6 days the Atlantic will become a graveyard. Convoys HX-229 and SC-122 will lose 22 ships. More than 300 sailors will vanish beneath the freezing water. It will become one of the worst convoy disasters of the entire war. German Admiral Karl Donitz will later call it the greatest convoy battle ever fought. The numbers are brutal. In March 1943 alone, German U-boats sink over 560,000 tons of Allied shipping, the highest monthly total of the war. At that rate, Britain has barely 3 months of food left. Even Winston Churchill will later admit, "The only thing that truly frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril. The problem is terrifyingly simple. The convoys are too loud. German submarines don't need to see their targets. They don't need radar. They don't even need to surface. They just listen." Using hydrophones, underwater listening devices, U-boats can detect the sound of ship propellers from up to 80 nautical miles away. Each merchant ship creates its own acoustic signature, the churn of its propeller, the vibration of its engines, the hum of its hull cutting through water. Together, a convoy doesn't just move across the ocean. It announces itself. Loudly. Allied escorts try everything, zigzag patterns, radio silence, sonar sweeps, but none of it solves the core problem. Sound travels incredibly well underwater. And the U-boats, sitting silently hundreds of feet below the surface, wait patiently, listening. Back in Liverpool at Western Approach's command, the situation is reaching a breaking point. For years the Allies have thrown science and money at the problem. Sonar systems, known as ASTIC, can detect submarines but only in front of the ship. U-boats quickly adapt, attacking from the sides or rear. High-frequency direction finding HF/DF can track enemy radio signals, but once the U-boats locate a convoy they go silent. And the convoy keeps making noise. By early 1943 millions have been spent trying to reduce ship noise. Top scientists conclude the same thing. It can't be done. A Liberty ship's propeller spins at about 76 rotations per minute, forcing massive volumes of water aside. This creates cavitation, tiny bubbles that collapse violently, producing powerful sound waves. Those sounds travel for miles. To reduce them would require redesigning entire propulsion systems, something impossible in wartime. The conclusion is grim. The convoys will always be heard. But out in the Atlantic, aboard the William Eustace, someone is thinking differently. Thomas Lawson isn't an engineer. He left school at 14 during the Great Depression. Worked odd jobs. Cooked in diners. Eventually joined the Merchant Marine for steady pay. No one expects brilliance from him. And yet, during long hours off duty, Lawson develops a strange habit. He goes down to the engine room and listens. The noise is overwhelming, steam turbines roaring, metal vibrating, heat pressing in from all sides. Most crew avoid it. Lawson doesn't. Because he's noticed something. February 19, 1943. Convoy SC-122 is under attack. Lawson is in the engine room when a torpedo hits a ship nearby. Through the hull, he doesn't just feel the explosion, he hears what comes after. A deep, hollow sound as water floods the damaged ship. Then, something unexpected. Silence. He grabs the ship's engineer, Donald McLeod. The noise, it stopped, Lawson says. McLeod barely looks at him. Of course it stopped. The ship's sinking. But Lawson shakes his head. No. I mean completely. The sound just vanished. That's when the idea begins to form. If flooding a ship stops its noise, what if you could control that? Over the next 2 weeks, Lawson fills a notebook with rough sketches. Water-filled chambers. Strategic placement around engines and propeller shafts. Controlled flooding, not enough to sink the ship, just enough to absorb vibration. He shows the engineer. Dismissed. He shows the first mate. Laughed at. Even Captain Bannerman brushes him off. Leave engineering to engineers, he says. But Lawson can't let it go. March 24, 1943. Liverpool. The William Eustace docks. Lawson has 48 hours of leave. He makes a decision that could end his career. He walks straight into Western Approach's command and demands to speak to someone about convoy noise. He doesn't get a meeting. He gets stopped. 2 naval guards grab him and move him toward the exit. Until a voice cuts across the room. Wait. Commander Peter Gretton steps forward. He's young, exhausted, and has just returned from escort duty where he lost 13 ships. He listens. At first he's skeptical. Then curious. Then, interested. Come with me, he says. At a dockyard in Liverpool, Gretton arranges an unofficial test aboard HMS Sunflower, a small escort ship. What they build is crude. Steel drums welded near the propeller shaft. Filled with seawater. Sandbags placed near engine mounts. It looks ridiculous. The first test fails. The submarine listening nearby hears everything. But Lawson notices the problem. The water leaked. Seal them, he says. Gretton hesitates. If this goes wrong, his career is over. If they do nothing, ships keep sinking. 3 more days, he decides. April 2, 1943. Second test. The Sunflower moves out again. A submarine listens from 1,000 yards away. Minutes pass. Nothing. Finally, the submarine surfaces. We lost you at 400 yards. The ship has practically disappeared. Lawson's idea works. And now, everything is about to change. 6 ships were about to carry an idea that could either save thousands, or fail when it mattered most. April 3, 1943. Admiralty Boardroom, London. Commander Peter Gretton stands before some of the most powerful naval in Britain. The room is filled with senior officers, intelligence chiefs, and scientists, including Dr. Harold Burris, a respected naval architect who has already declared this kind of solution impossible. Beside Gretton stands an outsider. Thomas Lawson. A merchant ship cook. That alone makes the room uneasy. Gretton presents the results clearly. Hydrophone detection range reduced from over 11 miles to less than half a mile. A 97% reduction in acoustic signature. The reaction is immediate. This is absurd, Dr. Burris snaps. You modified a Royal Navy vessel based on the idea of a cook? Gretton doesn't hold back. A cook who got results, he replies. Tension fills the room. Some officers are angry. Others are skeptical. A few are quietly intrigued. Finally, Admiral Sir Max Horton raises his hand for silence. He turns to Lawson. Explain it. Simply. Lawson swallows, aware of where he is, and who he's speaking to. Sir, machinery makes vibration. That vibration travels through the ship into the water. Water absorbs vibration better than air or steel. If you place controlled water-filled barriers near the source, you stop the sound from escaping. Dr. Burris shakes his head. It violates basic engineering principles. Lawson answers calmly. We tested it. It works. The room falls quiet. Horton studies him for a long moment, then asks the only question that matters. What would it take to try this in a real convoy? Objections come fast. It's risky. Unproven. A waste of time and resources. But Gretton pushes back hard. In March alone, we lost over 500,000 tons of shipping, he says. Because the enemy hears us coming. If we do nothing, we lose this war. That lands. He's not exaggerating. They all know it. Dr. Burris tries one more angle. Even if it works, implementing it across the fleet would take months. Maybe years. Lawson speaks again. It doesn't take months. The prototype took 3 days. Any dockyard crew can do it. Now the room shifts. Because suddenly this isn't just an idea. It's practical. Admiral Horton stands and walks to the window. The Thames flows quietly outside, a sharp contrast to the chaos in the Atlantic. When he turns back, his decision is made. "Commander Gretton," he says, "you will retrofit 6 merchant ships in the next convoy. Departure in 8 days. Pause. Mr. Lawson, you will oversee the work." Shock ripples through the room. Horton continues. "If it works, we expand it. If it fails, we move on." The meaning is clear. There won't be a second chance. April 11th to 18th, 1943. Liverpool dockyards. Work begins immediately. 6 merchant ships are selected. SS William Eustace SS Daniel Webster SS James Herod SS John Davenport SS Samuel Eliot SS Benjamin Klein. Crews work around the clock. The system is simple, but strange. Steel chambers are welded around propeller shafts. Rubber bladders are installed near engine mounts. Everything is filled with seawater. Each ship gains about 18 tons of extra weight. Engineers shake their heads. "This looks like plumbing, not engineering," one mutters. But the tests don't lie. Before modification, detectable at over 11 miles. After modification, less than half a mile. Almost 30 times quieter. Still, there's one thing no test can simulate: combat. April 22, 1943. Convoy on 184 departs Liverpool. 43 merchant ships form up in columns. 6 of them carry Lawson's modification. They are spread across the convoy, port side, starboard side, and center. No announcement is made. Most of the crew don't even know they're part of an experiment. Out in the Atlantic, German U-boat command is already preparing. A wolf pack, Group Mise, positions 37 submarines across the convoy's expected path. They are confident. They've done this before. April 25, 1943. 2:14 a.m. Mid-Atlantic. Inside U-264, Captain Lieutenant Hartwig looks, studies his instruments. His hydrophone operator frowns. Contact, but inconsistent. Looks, turns. "Explain." Some ships are loud. Clear signals. Others fade in and out. "That's not possible," Look says. "A convoy is either there, or it isn't." The operator adjusts his headphones. "I'm tracking multiple signatures. But not all of them." Looks orders the submarine to periscope depth. He scans the surface. The convoy is there. But something is wrong. His hydrophone should be picking up every ship. Instead, there are gaps. Ships he can see, but cannot hear. For a submarine commander, that's unsettling. Because sound is everything. Without it, targeting becomes guesswork. After a moment, Looks makes a decision. He targets only the ships he can clearly detect. The loud ones. And just like that, 6 ships disappear from the enemy's world. They move through the ocean almost silently, hidden in plain sight. April 27, 1943. 600 miles west of Ireland. The Wolfpack attacks. For 18 hours, the convoy is under assault. Torpedoes strike in the dark. Explosions rip through the water. Fires burn on the surface. 9 merchant ships are sunk. It's a brutal engagement. Thousands of tons of cargo are lost. Sailors struggle in lifeboats in freezing seas. But when the attack ends, one detail stands out. Not a single modified ship is hit. Not one. Despite being spread throughout the convoy, despite facing the same, they were never targeted. Because they were never heard. When convoy on 184 reaches New York on May 7th, the message sent back to London is short and decisive. Modified vessels showed 0 enemy engagement. Acoustic dampening effective under combat conditions. Recommend immediate expansion. That's all the Admiralty needs. Because now this isn't theory. It's proof. And it comes at exactly the right moment. May 1943. The turning point of the Battle of the Atlantic. Before this, U-boats ruled the ocean. Now, something is changing. Fast. Convoys that were once easy to track are becoming harder to find. Submarines that once attacked from a distance are being forced closer. And closer means danger. Because once a U-boat gets within half a mile, it enters the range of Allied sonar, radar, and visual detection. The hunters are being exposed. German crews begin to notice it first. Reports come in. Convoys are inconsistent. Some ships are loud. Others are silent. Targets appear, then vanish. One captured hydrophone operator will later say, "It was like the ocean itself had gone quiet." Confusion spreads through the wolf packs. Their greatest advantage, stealth detection, is slipping away. And they don't know why. Back in Britain, production begins immediately. Shipyards start installing Lawson's system as fast as possible. What once took 3 days, drops to 2. Then less. Cheap. Simple. Effective. By summer, hundreds of ships are modified, and the numbers begin to shift dramatically, because for the first time in the war, the Atlantic is no longer owned by the U-boats, and the man who helped make that happen, he's still just a cook, standing in a galley, washing dishes, watching the war change, one quiet ship at a time. In just a few weeks, the hunters of the Atlantic became the hunted, and most of them never understood why. May 1943. Inside Allied command centers, the numbers begin to come in. At first, officers think there must be a mistake. 4 years, convoy losses followed a brutal pattern. U-boats detected ships from long-range, coordinated attacks, and struck with deadly efficiency. But now, the pattern is breaking. Before acoustic dampening. Average U-boat detection range, over 11 nautical miles. Convoy loss rate per engagement, around 30% U-boat losses, minimal. After implementation begins, detection range drops to less than 1 mile. Convoy loss rate falls below 5%. U-boat losses surge dramatically. The shift is staggering. Submarines that once tracked convoys from a safe distance now have to move dangerously close just to find them. And that changes everything. Because at close range, U-boats are no longer invisible. They become vulnerable. Escort ships can detect them with sonar. Radar can catch them when they surface. Aircraft can spot them from above. The advantage flips. Fast. May 24, 1943. German Naval Command records a devastating reality. That month will later be known as Black May. In just a few weeks, 41 German U-boats are destroyed. Nearly a quarter of their operational fleet is lost. Convoy survival rates improve sharply. Admiral Karl Donitz writes in his war diary, "The enemy has achieved a decisive advantage. Our submarines can no longer rely on surprise. Convoys are becoming difficult to detect. The old methods are failing." For the first time in the war, the U-boat force is on the defensive. At sea, German crews are confused and increasingly uneasy. Hydrophone operators report strange behavior. Sometimes they hear convoys clearly from miles away. Other times, nothing. Ships appear suddenly almost on top of them. Targets they should detect simply don't exist in sound. One captured German sailor later explains, "We could not understand it. It was as if parts of the convoy had vanished. We thought our equipment was failing, but it wasn't. It wasn't the equipment. It was the ocean itself, being used differently." Back in Britain and the United States, the response is immediate. There is no hesitation now. Shipyards begin full-scale installation of Lawson's acoustic dampening system. And the speed is remarkable. Early installations took around 64 hours per ship. With experience, crews cut that time to under 48 hours. No complex redesigns. No expensive materials. No advanced technology. Just steel, water, and a simple idea. Each installation costs a fraction of building a new ship. And every modified vessel becomes significantly harder to detect. By July 1943, over 800 merchant ships are equipped with the system. Escort vessels begin adopting similar methods. Convoy survival rates continue to improve. From May through December, Allied shipping losses drop dramatically. U-boat losses rise sharply. The balance of the Atlantic War has shifted. Not because of a massive weapon, but because of a small, practical insight. The U-boats never fully recover. They continue to fight until the end of the war in 1945, but the momentum is gone. Their tactics, once deadly and reliable, no longer work the same way. Wolfpack coordination weakens. Detection becomes uncertain. Attacks become riskier. And losses continue to mount. After the war, historians and naval experts begin to analyze what changed. Radar played a role. Air cover helped. Escort carriers made a difference. But among all the innovations, one stands out for its simplicity and its impact. A method to make ships quieter. Not invisible, but quiet enough to survive. Admiral Sir Max Horton later writes, "Among the many developments that contributed to victory in the Atlantic, few were as unexpectedly effective as the acoustic dampening method introduced during the critical period of 1943. Commander Peter Gretton reflects on it years later. Thomas Lawson never commanded a ship. He never fought in battle. But his observations saved lives, thousands of them. He saw something the rest of us missed. And what happened to Lawson? Nothing dramatic. No headlines. No fame. No public recognition during the war. He received the British Empire Medal in 1945, but quietly. No major press coverage. No interviews. When reporters later tried to speak with him, he declined. "I just noticed something," he said. "Other people did the real work." After the war, he returned home to Boston, opened a small diner, built a normal life, family, or routine. Most people who met him had no idea what he had done. No idea that his idea helped change the outcome of one of the most important naval battles in history. Years later, a naval historian tracked him down. Only then did the full story begin to surface. Even his own family hadn't heard all the details. It wasn't something he talked about. Thomas Patrick Lawson died in 1991, at the age of 76. His obituary described him simply: a merchant marine veteran, a restaurant owner. There was no mention of the innovation, no mention of the lives saved, no mention of the Atlantic. But at his funeral, something unusual happened. 3 elderly British naval officers attended. Men who had served in convoy escorts during 1943. Men who had survived. They didn't give speeches. They didn't stand out. One of them quietly placed a note inside the casket. Read, "Because of you, we came home." Today, the idea Lawson helped introduce still exists. Evolved, improved, modernized. Modern naval ships use advanced noise reduction systems based on similar principles. Instead of simple water chambers, they use air bubble systems and engineered dampening techniques. But the core concept remains the same. Control the sound, and you control the battle. In 2011, the U.S. Naval Academy included Lawson's story in its leadership studies. Not because he was a trained expert, but because he wasn't. He didn't follow conventional thinking. He paid attention. He asked a question others ignored. And he acted on it. There's a lesson in that. In war, and beyond. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs don't come from complex systems or advanced theories. They come from observation. From curiosity. From someone willing to challenge what everyone knows to be true. In 1943, experts said it was impossible to make a convoy quiet. A cook proved otherwise. And in doing so, helped turn the tide of the Atlantic War.